Welcome to Munch Learn. I think it's episode 9 now. We're going to be talking about what is business coaching and does my business need a coach? And I'm joined, this is going to be a really special session today because I'm joined by fellow No Limits co-founder and fellow business coach, Duncan. Duncan, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, David. Living the dream. Absolutely. I'm an early riser, so I love this type of thing. I'm, incredibly productive. So quite excited to talk about this because I think this is something that people don't really understand or know much about. Yeah. Is this thing we call business coaching. So yeah, I'm really excited.
There's a bit of a misconception out there that business coaching is for businesses that are struggling, isn't it? It's kind of there is a place for a business coach in just about every business, should they be willing to accept it. So
yeah, absolutely.
What I thought we'd do today, Duncan, if it's okay, is we'll touch on some of the sort of most frequently asked questions that we come across as coaches that potential clients and existing clients have sort of had in their mind when they're considering working with a coach. So should I kick us off with one of the sort of top questions that quite often comes up when you're speaking with somebody in a specific industry? They kind of turn around and say, look, what can you tell me about my business that I don't already know?
You're right. I have that. Goodness gracious me, if I had a penny for every time I've been asked that, I'll just say. The way I'm going to ask it or answer it is absolutely nothing. I'm not going to tell you how to your business, your technical business. Could anybody, any one of the coaches, tell Beckham how to that bend it like Beckham, lovely way that he used to take a corner kick and put it in, from the right side to the top left-hand corner? And anybody? No. But what the coach is, he didn't say, all right, I don't need a coach. He was skilled in what he did, but the coach drew out all that extra stuff, gave him that when he wanted to give up, when he had a bad day, the coach was there saying, no, come on again. And then talk about strategies, when to use that kick, when not to use it. That type of thing. I always come back to sporting analogies, and the coach who sit on the sideline, unless you like some of our European passionate types that get involved in the field, but that's when things go wrong. So we're not there to teach you the technical side of the business or help you.
Absolutely. It's kind of that holistic view from the side of the pitch, isn't it? So when the ball's at the front of the pitch and it's, they're trying to put the ball in the back of the net, the coach is looking at the rest of the team to make sure everything is in place and the defense is in the right place at the right time. So when the ball comes back over the top, the structure's there, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And the coach is the one that monitors what the opposition is doing, what's happening, what are the conditions like. And if you think about virtually every sport nowadays with technology, going and replaying videos, have a look at when you did this. This is what the impact had. That's what a coach can do.
There's a danger, isn't there? If you know so much about a certain industry, there's a danger actually you can feel tempted to take control. As a coach sitting there looking at the business thinking, I would do this, I would do that. And there's a risk there that you actually come in and start trying to, run the business the way you'd want to run it rather than the business owner.
That is so true. I think you start stepping on toes, and I don't think that makes for a very good relationship with the business owner. You don't have to be, as a business coach, a absolute specialist, which I think ties us into another point, if I may. With lots of people say, well, you know exactly what you're saying. You don't know my industry, but what Richard Branson's always said: if you run one business, you can run a multitude of different businesses, because it's the business principles that remain the same. And that's where we help you with.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because it's the job of running a business that we're working on, not the job of being a great plumber or a great hairdresser or a great digital marketeer.
No, absolutely. And I think that you're right. And that's where, I often say to business owners, well done for getting to where you got. And I think we say the same thing to the whole No Limits community. Well done, for taking the plunge and deciding to go, right, I'm going to go and run my own business, because that is a huge step to take. So well done, you're bloody good. But, how do you go the next step? At school, at college, at uni, we're taught how to be wonderful employees, and we're taught how to do a technical job. How often are we taught what it's like to be a business owner? You get into this business. I own my own business for the first time, and it's like, Oh, wow. What
Once the
now?
honeymoon period's over and it's becoming a bit real.
And I think you and I, as business owners ourselves, I think that's also important
Absolutely.
to state, is that, yeah, been there, got the t-shirt, know exactly what it feels like.
Yeah, it's a good point. So there is a definite differential between actually the industry that we work in and the running a business. The running a business is its own job. It's got its own entity, isn't it? It's working on those strategies to create a business that can work without you. That's what the coach brings to the table.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. I think one of the books I think we all advocate that our new business owners or the business owners we work with read at the outset is the E-Myth Revisited by Michael E. Gerber. And I think right in the beginning he puts it what you said now so well. There's three personalities, or there's three beings within us as business owners. One is the entrepreneur. That's that crazy, huge, big thinking person that, wow, there we go. That's the dream and everything. There's the manager who says, whoa, come back. Hang on, wait a minute. We need a bit of structure. We need planning, goal setting. Come back here, entrepreneur. And then there's the technician, which is more than likely the person why you got into the business. So the hairdresser, the plumber, the builder, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
The technician is irritated by the other two. I just want to get on and do it.
Yeah.
Stop putting things in my way. The manager, crikey, the technician is, wait a minute, you need to do things structurally. And we won't even talk about the entrepreneur because his head is in the clouds. And I think the important thing is to realize that all three of those are in existence in each one of us.
And they're an important existence, aren't they? They need to be there, but there's always going to be that natural conflict. So it's just trying to sort of keep everybody having a balanced, a seat at the table, isn't it? And having those personas having a balanced seat at the table.
100%.
It's a really good book. So that was the E-Myth Revisited by Michael E. Gerber, wasn't it? It's kind of a must-read book for any serious business person. So that kind of takes us nicely into, so we've got business people that sort of looking at it and go, well, okay, well, what can you tell me about my business that I don't really know? What about business owners that sort of say, look, coaching isn't going to work for me. It's completely different in my business. I'm a niche business, or my industry is a bit different for everybody else. It's not a normal structure. It's not a normal business. What about
that? Most people, all of us want to be different. I say, well, that's absolutely fantastic because, that your USP, unique selling point, proposition, whatever, you must stand out and you must be different. But you know what? The fundamentals of running the business. You're in the business to make money. Yes. Yeah, we all are. It has to be, you touched on it earlier, David, the definition of a successful business in our minds, an action coach is a commercial. So that's buying and selling, trading, profitable. Well, it's making more money than what it actually is spending. Enterprise that then works without you. And those are common throughout industry sectors, different types of business, different business owners, different size. That is as true to a Fortune 500, FTSE 100 company as it is to someone starting off as a hairdresser in their back room.
Yeah,
so,
you break it down to the most simplest sort of format. It's product and service. So whatever your product or service is, people, process.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
Process. Three basic elements of any business. Every single business out there's got to have those three basic elements.
And if we take, let's just take process. The process for one is what is that? Well, actually, do you know what? You want people to buy your service or your product. So how do you get those people? What people do you get? So having a structured way of doing it, there's one of your first process. Then once they've got and found out about me, well, how do I get them to actually, do you know what, Dunks, I think you've got a good idea. How do we get them to open their wallet? And then once they've opened their wallet, how do we keep them with us?
Yeah.
And I think so that from a process, yeah, absolutely. So it doesn't matter what industry you're in, whatever sector, you want clients, you want to know how to get them, you want to know how to convert them by someone you speak to a client, and you want to keep them.
Marketing process, sales process, delivery process, money collection process, systemize everything.
Yeah.
Deliver your products and service in a consistent and sustainable way with nothing left to chance.
And why do we say that? Why do we say that? Not only is it, yeah, it's a good way of doing it, but we, as you say, we don't nothing up to chance. But if something goes wrong, then we can go and have a look at which point of the process did it break down. We don't go and just say, oh goodness.
Yeah.
We know where to. And I think it's coming back to one of the points we mentioned earlier on, is I think an incredibly important part of business coaching is knowing where to focus. And so if you've got a decent process in place and you test and measure your process all the time, that it's actually, you're not going to understand where did it go wrong and be able to focus on fixing the right place. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, 100%. So yeah, if you've got a production line that builds a product and the product stops coming off at the end of production line, you can walk back up it physically to see where the machines have stopped working. Sales process, you've got people involved, humans, emotions. If you're not tracking those individual steps, it's very, very difficult to identify the area of the process that's broken down or the area that you can improve. Absolutely.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I often say to people, when it comes to test and measure, as human beings, we're always told, I think from a toddler stage, learn from your mistakes, or better still, learn from somebody else's mistakes, but learn from mistakes. But I want to put a counter into that. And in my corporate life, you know, when we'd put in a massive proposal where we work day and night for it, and if you lose and you don't win the business, then there's a massive everybody down and lessons learned. But when we win the business, I said, well, lessons learned. And people said, why? And I couldn't understand that. Why wouldn't you want to learn we all know about learning from our mistakes, so we don't want to repeat. Yeah. But conversely, don't we want to learn from where we do well so that we can repeat that? And having a decent, robust process points that out as well. Yeah. So we can see that this production line for this gizmo is working brilliantly, but this one isn't. What is this one doing that one isn't? So learn from where you can well.
That's a really good point. It just made me think actually about learning from other industries. So if you are in a particularly sort of specific niche, specific sector, then actually, you know, there's no harm in learning from other industries. So having that sort of coach on side with you and having the experience they've got across varied different industries, and going, actually, this could work in that industry. Let's try it in this one.
Yes.
You know, you don't get pigeonholed in the same thing that you do just because you're in it. Actually, there are opportunities to learn from other industries and other businesses out there.
Yeah, I think you're 100%. And so to go back to that, that question about, different industries, different sectors, I think that's the beauty of having a coach.
Yeah.
Is that we are right across. There isn't an industry that we don't work with. And I think it's exactly that, being able to see, oh, that worked there, I wonder if it'll work here, or beware, that didn't work so well, so let's just
test and measure, give it a go. What about time? What about time? You know, how can I possibly find the time to do this when I'm already so busy doing stuff?
How many times haven't we heard that? No, you don't understand. I'm too busy for this. I'd love to, but I don't have the time.
Yeah.
I think the question is, well, first of all, let's say why, can you not have the time? How can you not have the time? You need to find it. But I think one of the most fundamental things about time is, and I mentioned it last week in the Silver coaching session, was you've got to come to terms with the fact that there's always going to be too much to do.
Yeah.
Live with it. The other thing is, you know what, funny old thing, I don't know if you've noticed, today has got 24 hours. Funny old thing, yesterday had 24 hours and tomorrow is going to have 24 hours. If today is a bit of a leisurely day, you cannot bank a few hours in case you need them tomorrow, and you cannot borrow from tomorrow to use today. So you cannot manage time. But what you can do, understanding the fact that I'm never going to get everything done, but if you plan and structure your day and focus on those most important tasks, then you will find the time and you will make the time. But I think it's focus, priorities.
Yeah, priorities is exactly it, isn't it? It's, time is really just a massive excuse. It just means the priorities aren't there. So if your priority is to grow your business, or your priority is to increase sales, or your priority is to deliver better service, then you find the time to work on those areas.
No, undoubtedly. I think we were saying earlier on, there's that lovely slide that we use that depicts the many hats that a business owner puts on. You know, from the technical side of doing things, to finance, to HR, to this, to that, to strategy, and it's just all over the place. And it's so easy to become overwhelmed. And I think that's often where time issues are.
Yeah.
And having a coach helps you with that, you know, brings you back into focus. Both of us have coaches. We all have our own coaches. I don't know if everybody knows that, but I'm sort of guilty of poor time management, or managing myself in time. And my coach helps me out of that and actually says, "Wait, Duncan, really?" You know, and it's all to do with structure and goal setting, isn't it?
Yeah, that focus and that clarity, isn't it? And then holding you accountable to the actions. But in life, it's, you know, it's easy to say that, isn't it? Find the time, but sometimes it's hard to do. And one of the, you know, I don't know about you, but one of the things I normally end up starting with most clients is working on time management and how they can become more effective with their use of the time. We've got some great tools and great techniques and strategies. You know, 90% of the people I work with, time will be right up there as sort of one top three of the priorities from day one.
Undoubtedly so. And whether it's a business owner starting off, or whether it's a CEO who's been in the corporate world for 40 years, I mean, it's you talk about wonderful tools that we have. And one I just want to mention, which has its origins which is quite apt now. I mentioned it last week. Last week, the 6th of June was the D-Day landings, which beginning of the end of the Second World War. And the supreme commander was a chap by the name of 3-star American General Dwight D. Eisenhower, Ike, who later on went to become, goodness knows which president of the United States, but late 50s. He was replaced by JFK, to put it into picture. And Eisenhower very famously said he has two types of problems: urgent problems and important problems. But what he doesn't need is urgent, important problems. And the thing that with most of us, because we procrastinate, because we don't plan, business owners, this will sound familiar. A week before the VAT return is due, a week before the end of financial year, when your accounts are due, your accountant is knocking on your door and saying, "Oi, that's an urgent and important problem, because if it doesn't, you're going to start owing, you know, penalties to the taxman." However, if you had gone and submitted your receipts into Xero or QuickBooks or whatever you use on a weekly basis, it might take you a half an hour of your day. That's an important task, but it's not urgent yet.
Yeah.
And it gives, just something simple as that, gives you more time to handle the things that life does throw at you. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. And it kind of further evidences that time's a bit of an excuse, isn't it? Because it's amazing what you can get done if that deadline is looming and you need to do it, or the week before going on holiday. You get done the week before you go on holiday. So yeah, it's all a question of priorities, isn't it? Focus and clarity around what it is that you want to achieve, where you want to get to, and then prioritizing your time to do the things that are going to get you there. And being comfortable, actually having somebody in your corner that says it's okay to say no to some stuff.
Of course. I was just actually going to say that's where we come in and help you. And that's where we say to you, right, how did you get done this week? What did you do? How did you do it? Right, what can we change? Have a look at it. Yeah, time. Yeah.
So think about time then.
Yeah, I could spend the whole day talking.
It's a whole topic in itself, isn't it? Yeah. So thinking about time then, what about those client questions or those prospect questions where, you know, somebody says to you, look, how quickly can I get results? What's the timeline? How quick can I get some return on my investment?
I think you've got to be realistic. I think you said earlier on, it depends. You need to change.
Yeah.
Jim Rohn famously said that when he was 25, he had pennies in his pocket. He had no money in the bank. His creditors were coming all over him. It was dire. And he blamed the government. He blamed taxes. He blamed prices. He blamed his boss. He blamed the company. 6 years later, he was a millionaire. What had changed? Still the same taxes, still the same government, same boss, same company, everything. The only thing that changed was him and his attitude. So why do I say that? How long is it going to take you to get results? Well, how quick do you change? How much do you need to change? And how quickly can you change? And I think that's what coaching's all about, is we're not going to do the work for you. You are going to do it. Why is that important? Because you then learn how to do it. You become a better person. Also, I love Jim Rohn, and he always also famously said, don't wish the world it was easier, wish you were better. And that's it. So how long is it going to take results? It's like a marketing strategy. You can't put a marketing strategy in place for a week. Nothing's happened. Okay, it's a rubbish marketing strategy, or anything for that matter. So I think a good rule of thumb is 3 months. Yes, are they going to be changed? Of course they are, depending on how much you change, how quickly you change. But typically, to start seeing results, in my experience, 3 months. But that doesn't mean to say give it up there.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your feeling?
I agree. I think it all depends on the business and the business owner. It's very much around that desire to actually change and do things differently and then take action. Some people are more adaptable to making changes and actually doing things differently. Some people take longer to actually implement those changes. It goes a little. There's a couple of things really. One is sometimes we need to fix some stuff, and sometimes we need to build some stuff. So there's how much do we need to fix? Sometimes that takes a bit longer than other businesses. And then the other concept is that that formula we've got, which is dreams, goals, plan, learn, act.
Oh,
so it's going through that formula, and actually the action is the bit that makes the change happen. But the other bits need to be in place. So again, some people will be further along than others. The reality is we've got a system within Action Coach that is the world's best system for business growth. We've been around for over 28 years across
30 years this
30
year.
years now, is it? 30 years across 80 plus countries with thousands of coaches worldwide. It's a system that works across pretty much every industry out there. We know it works. It's just a case of for things to change, sometimes you must change, and adopting the system and adopting the strategies that will help grow the business.
No, 100%. Yeah.
What about cost then? So that's something that comes up quite often. How much is this program? How much is this coaching going to cost me?
I think it's you were saying earlier on. Coaching can cost as little as buying a book.
Yeah.
But typically, this is one of the reasons for the No Limits program. Those of you watching this, how much does it cost you? I mean, it's free to join, it's free to register. And then I think it goes up, right up. Our top clients it costs them up to £10,000 a month. That we're looking at, big corporate companies. And I think it's where you sit and how much coaching do you need. So it's and I know that's sounding very much like a politician's answer, but it is so bespoke. Yes, we do have the systems and everything, but the bespokeness is where do you sit? What do you need? So you can join us, this No Limits for nothing, and you will see within No Limits, there's small little boundaries. But it's a difficult one, but it's an important question.
Yeah, it's very much around, again, that speed of change, isn't it, and being in the space to be able to do the work to make those changes. So again, depending on where you are in your business, depends on what level's right for you. And like I said, you mentioned, coaching doesn't have to come in the form of full one-to-one coaching. It can come in the form of a simple webinar, a simple book, or a simple conversation. It's very much about taking action though and doing something about it.
But I think 100%, and I think what is also important to, and this is like marketing, I think it's a mindset change that business owners need to have. We always talk about the fee, your coaching fee, not as a fee, but as an investment.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important to underline an investment. What's the difference between a cost and expense and an investment? There is a return. So coaching shouldn't actually cost you anything in real terms, because of what you actually learn through the process improves you and your business. And therefore, it's increasing your sales revenue, increasing eventually your bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And certainly with the No Limits community that we're creating here, it's all about that access to everybody. We all fundamentally believe that every business owner should have access to the tools and resources and the environment to help support them to grow their business wherever they are on that journey, and then grow with the community.
I think that's important, and that's one to tie and add to what you've just said now, is I think where our ambition is to get, when you go and register a company, whether you as a sole trader or anything, you should be getting an automatic invitation to come in and join No Limits, just to be there and have a friendly face and say, "Oh God, what do I do?" You know?
Absolutely.
So yeah,
the environment around you is really important to growth, isn't it?
oh yeah.
And what about? Okay, so we've got some really successful businesses that we work with, really successful businesses. So what about the people out there thinking, you know what, I'm already successful, my business is already making a couple of £1 million turnover, whatever it is. You know, why do I need a coach to support me when I'm already doing pretty well?
Simple, Ariel, direct question I ask is, well, is this as good as it gets?
Wow, yeah.
And then I shut up. And yeah, that makes it, I think, look, are we going to be able to coach everybody on the planet? No. There are going to be, coaching is quite a personal thing. You need to want it. What you do need to understand is that with a coach, the chances of you being more successful, and notice what I say, more successful than what you currently are better. I'm not a massive football fan, round ball is the wrong shape for me, but I've heard rumors in the news about a team, Tottenham Hotspur or something, winning quite a big championship or trophy recently. I'm correct, Ham. I haven't messed up the teams or anything like that.
I'm similar to you. Football's not mine.
but I think one of the first things they did was fire their coach. Surely they've won the championship now, or whatever it is what they won. No, they did not. And we alluded to it earlier on with the greatest sportsmen in the world. Once they reach their peak, they don't go and fire their coaches.
Yeah.
They still need a coach. But just and I'm sure you've got an example of this. But I'm coaching someone at the moment who's got an MBA and got a good couple of diplomas from the London School of Economics and Business School and things like that. It's MBA of a big company, but he loves the coaching. Absolutely loves the coaching.
Even Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, they all have coaches.
Yeah.
I think that statement you said, is this as good as it gets? Because what's stopping you from being further ahead? Who knows? 9 times out of 10, it's what's between here, isn't it? Having that coach. But I think you're right, though. It's, you need to want it, because if there's a seed of doubt in your mind, as human beings, we like to prove ourselves right. So if it's not right, then you're going to prove yourself right. You're going to find the reasons to say it's not going to work. So
yeah,
absolutely. So I think really from our perspective, that's really useful conversation around some of those key questions. I think I'll probably just sort of sum it up. Think of yourself as a business owner, as a shareholder of your business, and you're looking down on yourself as the MD. So you're the MD in your own company. Think about all of the people that are dependent on its success, whether it's your customers, your suppliers, your team, things like that. Don't you think you owe it to yourself as the shareholder looking down on the MD to find out what coaching is all about, to find out whether it's something that would work for you or not? At least at that point, you can make an informed decision. And I think if everybody did that, then most people will be pleasantly surprised actually how powerful coaching can be, because it's not something you can explain to somebody how it works. You've got to feel it. You've got to experience it. You've got to get the right relationship, and you've got to go through the process.
Well, I think that is so important. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I think if anybody's interested in finding out more about how coaching works, reach out to one of the local coaches in the No Limits community, book a call, let's have a chat, and let's see whether it can be something that can support you in your business. Duncan, that was fantastic. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Really good session.
Anytime, David. I love these sessions because there's so much we can give, and we can give to the community, and it's lovely doing that. So thank you.
Have a great day. See you soon.
Cheers, mate.